back with On the Road of Recovery with Kathy from Karma Heights. How are you doing today?
I'm well, thank you.
Thanks so much for coming out and joining us. First, can you start off with who do you support that's in recovery?
My oldest Bubba, he's 27, my son.
Okay, fantastic. Can you characterize your relationship with your loved one prior to recovery and talk a little bit about his life in active addiction?
I think we always had sort of a good relationship in the sense that he talks to me. Both my kids talk to me. During his struggles, it was horrible. It was horrible in that I didn't know what to do. He knew what he wanted to do. It was very volatile. Lots of terrible things said, probably on both sides. It was hell. It was hell in my house.
Can you describe, I know that you said that he has some co-occurring conditions. Can you describe how those impacted your life as well?
Yeah, he's on the autism spectrum, Asperger's. What's the spectrum now? ADD, depression, severe anxiety. And so prior to drugs, we had been all over the county with different therapists, different psychiatrists. He had been on many different medications. And, when you're young and the medications don't necessarily work, you start to lose faith and you stop taking them. So I don't think he ever felt good after all of that. And we were shuffled, just shuffled from one person to the next, or you have a therapist and then they quit and then you have to start over, and similar to treatment, I might add. But it was just a really rocky road that way. I put him through, tried to get him anger management, tried to do intensive outpatient for psychological stuff in Akron, and none of it was very fruitful.
So he's been in recovery for 2.5 years now, and with the assistance of MAT, and been successful. Can we go back to as a teenager, or early 20s, like where did the progression of his disease, that it was really kind of full-blown active addiction? When was that?
When he graduated from high school, he started at Akron Community, and so it might have been 2 years after high school, I think, where one morning he had been sickly over the weekend, and I knew he had tests on Monday, and I didn't think anything of it except, oh my gosh, Well, that Monday morning he came out with it. He's, Mom, I can't get, he told me I'm so-and-so won't give me pills, and I said, what? And that's when it came out, and so that was, a year and a half after high school is when the real tough stuff started. Gotcha. And it was horrible. That whole situation was horrible. And we saw him, I had never seen him craving, in withdrawals and till that time. That was horrible. And then again, there wasn't anything in Ohio really. He had been in the hospital the week before for suicidal thoughts and tendencies, and got out on Friday and went to his IOP on Monday and got out of his IOP at noon and overdosed at 1:10 in the afternoon. Wow. In a car. And they didn't have to arrest him, but they did. And that's a whole horrible story as well. I still was able to get him treatment. I knew it wasn't going to be here because when he got out of the hospital, I asked them, can you please just put him in detox? And they said there was an 8-week wait. So you go home with your child and you think, what am I going to do? And got him on a plane 3 days later, 3 days of living hell. And he shot up in the bathroom at the airport and got on the plane, and that was in 2016.
Okay.
And was at several treatment centers there too. He overdosed in a transitional. I didn't expect that he would go there and overdose. You know what I mean? Yeah. Even treatment, you think, I think as family members, oh God, he's in treatment. Oh wow, I knew better, but I didn't know better at the time. My whole life was swirling, and he got down there and he left right away with somebody, and then he came back. I kind of knew my son was not one who could live on the streets. He's just not that kind of kid. So I knew he wouldn't stay out on the streets in Florida. And so that started the revolving door in Florida. It was horrible.
Can you talk a little bit about how your other family members were impacted by his addiction and this roller coaster of events that your family had to endure?
My second son, they're 22 months apart. It was traumatic, and I think we both know that, and we've had to have some really intense conversations, because I think I can handle that now. I don't, it's the only way we're going to heal, and I think I've healed a lot more than him. My second son is going into a profession in which he'll be counseling people, and he's great with everybody else but his brother. There's anger, there's animosity, and my second son's high school years were chaotic, and he was the one I didn't have to worry about. That wasn't fair. That wasn't fair. But when my older son was having not just the addiction, when he'd have a meltdown, it could be 12 hours of crying, of screaming, in the fetal position, of punching holes in the doors and hitting his head, and just traumatic. And so my son now, he lives with me now while he's getting his master's. We have talked about it, and someday I think he will. But it was not, Dad had left the home. That was part of some of the issues. He just left the home, and so he didn't deal with that.
How about relationships with extended family? Did you have support from friends, family?
Not initially. I think that I was seen as a sort of drama queen, or my house had been hell for so long, and I think people just didn't want to deal with it, or shut their eyes to it, or didn't believe in mental health issues at all, or, oh, there goes Kathy again, or not a lot of understanding until he overdosed. And I had a family member who came and stayed with me. I did have a sister who stayed with us throughout the years, and I don't think anybody knew what to say or what to do. And I think it's uncomfortable. And I think it's, he'll get out of it. He'll outgrow it. But there was more to it than that. And so no.
How about support groups? Did you ever reach out to any of the different family support groups? I know there's become more now, but
yeah, I did some Al-Anon things for a little bit until you mentioned the word Suboxone, and I couldn't go back. You're not sober. Your kid's not sober. Why? How could you? And even here, to be told, oh my God, you're allowing your son to get addicted to something else, and just that shame and anger. And so I didn't talk about it. I did some online stuff. But I did never find a group that would accept. It was lonely. It's still lonely. It's lonely.
So have you been able to find, or how do you live a healthy life today?
I hit rock bottom.
Okay.
Mentally and emotionally. And I think my turning point really was knowing that, he could die, and there's nothing I can do to change that. And so how do we do this? And I think that was sort of the turning point of accepting that one of two things are going to happen. He's going to live or he's going to die. And I didn't want to think about the death part before. And I think that's what started me really being able to take a deep breath and say, you got to take care of yourself. the phone, all of that. Anything you've heard, it's true as a mom. The guilt, the what did I do wrong, the just all of it. And I just stepped back and said, I can't do this anymore. Excuse me, I'll die before he does. And I think that was kind of the turning point. So it's kind of been uphill ever since.
And what do you do today to be able to take care of yourself?
I love nature. I'm one who, whether it's sitting on my deck and I'm active in Hope Recovery Community here. Just became a family peer recovery coach.
Can you talk a little bit about what that is?
That is peer coaching for family. The person with substance abuse issues has their peer coach, but we are offering recovery coaching, if you will, to families. So right now I'm working with 3 different families who are walking through what I walked through. And it's cliche, but you get a lot from helping people, and I kind of, that's my job, my vocation. But in this whole arena, there's so much that you get from helping people.
So he's been in recovery for 2.5 years, no illicit drug use, and he's been very successful on MAT, which, studies show unequivocally MAT works and people live beautiful, long, happy lives taking MAT. Can you describe what your relationship is like with your son now?
It's good. I think it's the best it's been since he was 11 or 12. You know what I mean? And it's respecting his boundaries too. I have some, he has some. He's not really a phone person, and just I call him on Sundays, and we have this thing every night where we text each other, love you more at night. And knowing that that's enough, that's enough. He'll call when he needs to, sometimes it's just a vent about work. It's not all that. I go down there, I see him, but we communicate, and we've had some conversations that have been difficult too, I think he's very forgiving, of the chaos and my mishandling at times, and I'm very forgiving of him. So it's good, it's good. There's still times though, of course, when I wonder, is Jake going to be here in 6 months? And I allow myself to go there for a minute, and then I come back to, thoughts and feelings are like clouds. I can't get stuck in them. And then I come back to, well, he's here today.
You have some very healthy coping skills.
Didn't used to.
So can you talk how you developed those over the years? And if there's any other ones that you...
A good counselor.
Okay.
A good counselor. And helping others. I've always been somebody who, even before all of this, I see the good in the world, and both my kids will tell me I'm naive, and that's okay. They can tell me whatever they want,
How is your relationship with your other son today?
It's good. He's thank God he lived with me during COVID. He's almost 26. He's, oh my God, I'm still living with my mom. But we had a deal when he graduated, with his undergrad. If you want to go to school, you can live with me so that you can pay for school. But periodically we do come full circle. It's good. I hope that he can, though, do what he needs to do for himself. I can't make him do that. I just tell him, yeah, I hope you do what you need to do for yourself too. This is part of it. So we'll see, but it's good.
That's good. That's great to hear. Well, and earlier you talked about forgiveness, which is so important for everybody, and that acceptance piece, and clearly you exhibit acceptance, and that's kind of the magic key, so to speak, of being able to live a healthy life is finding some acceptance. So having that hope for both your kids, and being able to, no parent is perfect. So being able to recognize that just because you have a son that has a substance use disorder doesn't mean that you have to be extra perfect or anything. We all make mistakes, and being able to learn from them and grow is huge. Is there anything that you could share with somebody who's struggling with somebody either in active addiction or early recovery, but as a family member is really struggling? Some words of wisdom that really helped you.
God, to nail them down into, I I think it starts with, and again, this sounds cliche, is people first. Bringing people back to your son is acting crazy. It's your son though. Love the son, hate what's happening now, because sometimes the you don't even see the difference anymore. He wasn't a person. He was this monster, and he really wasn't. He's still that person. So I try and say, hey, remember always they're a person first. The other thing is, the whole, oh, it's a choice, yeah, choice, not a choice, then a choice is what I say. A choice, certainly, the first time once addiction kicks in, there's no rational choices anymore. The next choice is recovery.
You clearly have a lot. You've done a lot of homework, read a lot, very educated about this disease, and been through it yourself from a personal perspective. But with this new project that you guys have started out here with the family peer support, what other parts of the system do you really see needing to change? What other what else are we missing?
I think there just needs to be fair and equitable treatment. I think everybody should have access. I shouldn't have to sell my house because of medical bills. But to get decent treatment, you have to. I think that the world at large just needs to understand that this isn't a horrible thing. It's you've got diabetes. My son's got a substance abuse disorder. Why is your diabetes okay, but yeah, my son's, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. Why is Narcan free, but the EpiPen isn't? Well, no, it's not free. Like, there's so many people fundraise for that. We do grants for Narcan. Nothing's free.
Right.
Let the junkies die. Really? God doesn't make junk. Who's a junk? Who are you calling junkie? Like, all of that needs to be, and I don't know, I think this is how you do it, grassroots community. I'm a very big community person. Again, my kids laugh at me, but I think that the community is where it starts. Community is where the answers lie.
Okay, is there anything that we missed that you think would be important for our viewers to hear, something that just we didn't touch on?
I think that I want people to know that it's uncomfortable to talk to people or acknowledge people who have a family member, my son. It's okay to talk to me about that. It's okay. It's not a taboo conversation. It's not he's my son and I love him. And of course I would want people to know about him. Don't avoid. It's a big thing in our lives.
Yeah.
And don't avoid that with people. Go where you're uncomfortable. Yeah. It means the world to us.
Just because you don't ask the question doesn't mean I'm still not thinking about my son. Yeah.
Yeah, not many people say his name. Still, and please ask me how's he doing. I'll tell you how he's doing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But, oh God, we are afraid it's going to upset you. Oh my God, have you seen what I've lived through?
Right.
You think you asking me about my kids is going to upset me?
Right.
Girl, sit down.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
But that would be one thing.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for coming out and sharing your experience. It really, you're definitely going to help some people out there who are either going through a situation or have gone through situations like this, that being able to talk about it and being able to know that it is okay to be able to talk about things, and that they're not alone, and that there is freedom and there is hope.
Yeah.
And faith can be
Yes.
a powerful thing. So
Yes.
thank you so much.